and we are live.
The world of energy is changing. The energy system of the future will be based on sustainable, renewable energy. Innovation and digitalization are changing the way we consume energy. How can decision makers in governments and businesses prepare for the energy transition? Long-term energy scenarios, LTES, can help plan for a low-carbon future by identifying opportunities, potential risks, and cost-effective near-term solutions. IRENA actively supports energy planners through its global LTES network. Governments can share their experience, exchange best practices, and explore the most pressing future trends together with global experts. Government institutions and supporting technical agencies can become members of the LTES network. Join us. Contact LTES at irena.org for more information.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to the third session of the webinar series on long-term energy scenarios, LTES, for developing national energy transitions plans in Asia. My name is Juan Jose Garcia, and I'm Program Officer of Clean Energy Transition Scenarios at the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, and I have the pleasure to be your host today. This webinar series is organized as an activity under the framework of IRENA's LTES network, a community of energy scenario practitioners in the government sector that aims to facilitate these spaces for sharing experiences and practices on developing and using energy scenarios. This webinar series is also implemented in partnership with the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, ESCAP. As we continue progressing in this webinar series and in the coming weeks, we will be spotlighting presentations from selected countries across the Asian region who will delve into their energy scenario planning practices for setting long-term policies, strategies, plans, particularly in the context of the clean energy transition. In the past two sessions, we had the opportunity to listen and learn from the experiences of the Philippines, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Next slide, please. In today's session, we'll have the opportunity to learn from the experiences of two more countries in the region. We'll have the opportunity to listen the experiences from Nepal through the Alternative Energy Promotion Center, and also the experiences from Pakistan through the National Transmission and Dispatch Company. But before that, we are going to start with a very short presentation to provide some background on the LTES network. After the country presentations, we'll start a discussion segment with our speakers. And also during this time, we'll also address some questions from the audience. Next slide, please. So in this sense, we kindly request you that you use the Q&A function in the Zoom platform to post any question to our speakers. Also, another announcement is that the slides and the recordings from our previous sessions are now available online on IRENA webpage. You can access them using the address you are seeing right now. Next slide, please. Now, to start with today's session, I'm glad to introduce to Ms. Iris van der Loop. She is Associate Professional at IRENA's Innovation and Technology Center, and she is part of the LTES network team, and she will giving us a brief overview of the LTES network and the work that this network is doing. So, Iris, please, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Juan Jose. So I'll give a brief introduction to the LTES network. This is just a shorter overview. If you're interested to learn more, you're welcome to watch the longer presentation in the recording of our first session on our website. So on the next slide, please. I'll start with a quick overview of the long-term energy scenario or LTES network. So the LTES network was founded in 2018 under the umbrella of the Clean Energy Ministerial, or CEM, first as a campaign and later upgraded to an initiative, and has since been expanded under IRENA's own long-term energy scenarios network. So the network provides a global platform to exchange knowledge and experience on national long-term energy scenario practices among government scenario practitioners. The objective is to promote the wider and more effective use of long-term energy scenarios for the clean energy transition in governments. Since 2018, the LTES network has synthesized and learned about over 50 country examples. And we collected these key learnings and knowledge in analytical reports, which I'll talk about a bit more later. And we featured and organized over 60 international and regional events and webinars where we disseminated and collected learnings from all over the world on long-term energy scenarios. Currently, the LTES network has 28 country members, which you'll see listed on the slide here below, and 13 technical partner institutions whose logos you can also see on the slide here. These 28 country members and 13 technical partners have focal points to the network that are, in the case of the countries, the teams that are developing the scenarios, so the national LTES. And in the case of the partner institutions are either supporting the development of these national scenarios already or have the capacity to do so. So this is how we ensure that the network is for experts who are quite advanced already in their scenario development, and thereby ensure that we have a peer-to-peer learning platform between these experts. So on the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about the topics that the network focuses on. So we focus on three main pillars, which are listed here on the right side, the left side on the slide, sorry. The first one is on strengthening scenario development. So these include topics like aspects of the scenario development process. Things like if there is a stakeholder consultation involved in the scenario development process, but also the expansion of boundaries of scenarios. So how to include new technologies like CCUS or hydrogen, or just transition elements or other socioeconomic aspects. And the second pillar focuses on the improvement of scenario use. So this includes topics like the transparency of assumptions of scenarios, but also how to communicate scenarios to wider audiences. And the third pillar focuses on capacity building approaches. So this includes topics like insourcing capacity, so how to build capacity in-house in government, or outsourcing, so how to either use the expertise of other institutions like academia or consultancies to do the modeling or part of the modeling of the scenarios. So these are the main focus areas of the network. All the knowledge that we collect and gather is collected and synthesized in reports. So to date, we've published 6 reports, which are shown here on the right side of the slide, ranging from general scenario knowledge and experiences to more specific ones like benchmarking scenario comparisons or the alignment of long-term energy scenarios and long-term climate strategies. So you're very welcome to read these reports on our website. You can find them all there. And we also focus on regional topics. So I'll talk a bit more about that on the next slide. Yeah, so this is, of course, the webinar series on long-term energy scenarios in Asia. But this is actually the third webinar series that we're holding on the region. So the first one was on Latin America and the Caribbean in 2021, which featured the experiences of 14 countries. And we partnered with Get Transform and UN-ECLAC for this webinar series. This was a great success, so we followed it up with a second webinar series on Africa in 2022, where the experiences of 9 countries and 3 regional institutions were featured. And here we partnered with quite a lot of organizations, so UN-ECA, Get Transform, the African Development Bank, AUDA-NEPAD, and the African Union. Both of these webinar series are, of course, recorded like this one, and you can find the recordings on our website, so you're welcome to watch them as well if you're interested. And the knowledge of the webinars was collected and compiled in regional reports. So you can see the reports here for Latin America and for Africa. You can also find these on our website again. And we plan to do the same for this webinar series. So everything of the key learnings and knowledge that you'll learn about in this webinar series will be synthesized in a regional report on LTS in Asia. So that is to come out sometime next year. So with that, I hope you got a brief introduction to the LTS network and the regional webinar series. Again, you're welcome to watch the longer presentation in our first session in the recording on our website, to also visit our website or reach out to us at the email address listed on the screen. So thank you very much. And with that, I'll hand back to Juan Jose.
Thank you, Iris. Thank you very much for the brief introduction. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our first country speaker of today, Mr. Amanul Ansari. He is the engineer in the Solar Energy Department at the Alternative Energy Promotion Center, AEPC of Nepal. Mr. Ansari has built a solid background in renewable energy, and as part of his past experience, he also has been researching, in the researching field with focus on energy policy for renewable energy in Nepal. So I would like to invite Mr. Ansari to please turn on the microphone, and so the floor is yours. And we will be projecting your slides.
Okay. Thank you, Joan, Jose, Patria. Thank you. Thank you, Irina, to providing us for an opportunity to share our energy scenario development that is used in Nepal, and thank you all that Irina team. So may I start my slides? Hello.
Yeah, yes, please do. You would like to share them from your side, correct?
Okay. So it is visible.
It's visible, but if you could place it in slideshow mode, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Shall I start?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. And actually, my name is Amanul Ansari, working in AEPC, Alternative Energy Promotion Center, in solar energy section. And thus, I am just giving a brief introduction, brief explanation about that scenario for energy transition of Nepal. That is, what is the scenario of energy development in Nepal. So just I want to brief state on that. So first is our strengthening scenario development. So in this scenario, so I will just brief introduction about that. Okay, this. Brief introduction about institutional setup in energy sector in Nepal. So these are the, we can say that our government of Nepal, we have different government entities and stakeholder. They are engaged in formulating that energy scenario or energy developing scenario in Nepal. So we can say that we have a lot of that we can see in slide that there is a Nepal Electricity Regulatory Commission (ERC), and there is a Water and Energy Commission Secretariat, and there is a IBN, that is called Investment Board Nepal. So these are the, we can say that these are the regulatory bodies. So we can say that the Nepal Electricity Regulatory Commission (ERC), which provide or which regulate the electricity tariff, or which that protect right and interest of electricity consumer, or to make the electricity market competitive. So this is a responsibility of that Nepal Electricity Regulatory Commission, that they will regulate the that electricity that means energy scenario. And another is we can say we see that Water and Energy Commission's Secretariat, WECS. So they also formulate the policies and strategy for the water resource and energy sector. That is, we can say that in aspect of environmental aspect. And another is Investment Board of Nepal. That is creating an investment-friendly environment, mobilizing and managing domestic foreign investment. So these are the regulatory bodies, and main that leading energy scenario development which plays the measure, we can say that that Ministry of Energy, Water Resource and Irrigation, which play the vital role for whole energy scenario development, so which make make policies and which coordinate to all the government entities, and other stakeholders. So in that we can see that Nepal, there is two wings that we can see, Ministry of Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation. So we have a Nepal Electricity Authority, and another is a Nepal Alternative Energy Promotion Center. So Nepal Electricity Authority, which is responsible for the national grid enhancement, and that is we can say that maintaining all the generation, transmission and distribution. That is a portion of Nepal Electricity Authority. In that Nepal Authority Electricity, there is a power generation, power transmission, power distribution and power trading. So in power generation, power transmission, power distribution, so in power generation, for power generation we have a guideline, that is we can say that we have a number of guidelines that for power generation they have to take the license and that approval for ministry and other regulatory bodies, and they have to follow the guidelines for power generation and power output. So another we can see that there is a power transmission. Sorry. Okay. Power transmission and power distribution. So power transmission, that any has that is a provisional offices and DCS. We can say that distribution center. So in distribution center, there is a power distribution offices in all over Nepal, and there is a power transmission, that is you can say that regional offices. So that they are responsible for the regional office, they are responsible for power transmission, where that power DCS office, that is a distribution center, they are responsible for power distribution. And another we can say that power trading. So power trading is a that is a newly we are just we can say that power trading is there is a cross border that is for international and national also. So there is a cross border power trading between Nepal and India and is now happening in so in there is a rainy season we are importing the power to the India, and in dry season uh, we are importing power to the Nepal, and in rainy season we are exporting the power to the India. So these are the key government entities where we can while talking about the Alternative Energy Promotion Center. So Alternative Energy Promotion Center which has a mandate for promotion and development of renewable energy and energy efficiency. So energy, we are while talking about the renewable energy. So AEPC, AEPC has mandate to develop, RE technology in unelectrified area. So there is a certain unelectrified area in Nepal. There is no reach of national grid. So in that area, AEPC is promoting the renewable energy and energy efficiency. So what is the energy scenario? That is a working modality of AEPC. So we have a PPP, public-private partnership model also. So in AEPC we have a demand. We can see that where there is a demand side and another is a supply side. So when talking about the demand side, we have a user or beneficiary demand usually comes to AEPC. So that user and beneficiary demand that generally come to AEPC through the local government to the AEPC, where that AEPC has a lot of there is a process to making that energy demand in process to execute the RE technology. So in demand side, we can see that there is a local government and public sector. So, and there is a awareness and capacity building, and there is a technical financial assistance, planning, coordination and networking, quality assurance. So while based on the technical standard and policy subsidy disbursement, we can see that there is a subsidy disbursement in RE technology that Nepal government has subsidized in RE technology in unelectrified area. So based on the technical standard and policy, that subsidy disbursement is made to the RE technology. So that is based on the subsidy policy, technical guideline and standard is in AEPC. So based on that local government, or we can say that user committee or users, they will benefited by subsidy disbursement. And another while we're talking about the supply side, there we usually follow that government procurement process. There is a PPA and PPR. So Public Procurement Act and Public Procurement Rule. So by that that private sector get that technology, that private sector that selected through PPA PPR, and they will execute the work finally, and that is fully that is owned by that AEPC and with collaboration with local government or provisional government also. So in that we can see that there is a supply side, there is a private sector, manufacturing, and the private sector will do the manufacturing and supply, sales and installation, after sales service, repair and maintenance. And there is also that is internal quality control and monitoring. So while doing the agreement to the private sector, we have a provision for O&M service, or that is a monitoring and after sales service or repair and maintenance. So now we have a project implementation approach. So it is similar to that working modality of AEPC. That is working modality of AEPC, which which coordinating with provisional government, local government, and other government entities. So while for the implementation of a project, so we have demand collection. So we have demand collection that is received through local government or provisional government. So we generally we call the notice for the demand collection, which is every year, and that might be when it's required. So we call the notice, and there is a demand screening. So we have a criteria. On that criteria, we did the demand screening. On that criteria, there is we selected that demand, some demand. So that demand which has been evaluated by the technical review committee. There is a committee we call that technical review committee. So that technical review committee which evaluate the detailed feasibility study and give the signal for the implementation of that project. So in that process, we are working with local government and other stakeholders or other government entities. So we have so we do the MOU. We can say that is agreement between AEPC or LG, where there is a memorandum of understanding, we can say. So we do the MOU or agreement between that AEPC, LG, or other government entities. And after that, there is we follow the PPA and PPR, that is called Public Procurement Act and Public Procurement Tool. So based on that, we do the tender call. We do the tender call, tender evaluation, and we select or we award the tender to a private sector, that is we call the installer company. So that installer company now their responsibility to construction of that technology, that is we can say that it might be RE. We generally do RE, renewable energy technology. So it might be mini grid or micro hydro, or we can say that biomass or biogas. So there is a construction supervision. So there is a construction supervision from AEPC, that is AEPC, local government, and as well as provincial government too, if required. So based on the work done, AEPC disperse the subsidy according to work done by the installer company. And after that, when that project completion report has received to AEPC, then AEPC has finally dispersed the final subsidy. But before final disbursements of subsidy, AEPC will do testing and commissioning of the system. So that testing and commissioning of the system that follows the agreement and power of that output, which is uh, technique, which is agreed during the agreement with installer company. So after when that testing and commissioning is okay, I mean that output desired output has come, then only that APC will disperse mean the final subsidy. And after that we have a provision for operation and maintenance period. So generally we in mini grid we the company has to uh, do the operation and maintenance for 5 years, and after that, after 5 years we will hand over the project to the local government or local government. Next slide. So that so now is talking about that APC. So APC which work as a center of excellence because we have a 3 level of government. We can say that one is a central government, another is a provincial government, and other is a local government. So we have 3 layer of government. So in that APC, the APC role is now center of excellence. That APC should now the APC provide that the technical assistance, and we can say that capacity building, and for assessment of renewable energy, or we can say that policy making in and etc. So for long-term goals, so APC long-term goal is socio-economic goal. So socio-economic goal that inclusive and cost-effective energy for the improved life condition. So it's a socio-economic goal. We can say that we generally use BAT. That is the best available technology based on the resource. So actually APC is working in unelectrified area, and in that area we have we generally choose that which is the best suitable technology that we can provide or we can execute on that area. So generally we do assessment. We do assessment for that I mean best available technology that is that should be feasible, and based on that we will choose which technology is suitable for that. That might be the solar, that might be the micro hydro, that might be the biogas or biomass. So and
I'm sorry,
can,
Amanul.
okay.
Yes, just one quick reminder. Maybe we can wrap up the rest of your presentation in the next 3-4 minutes. We are a little bit over time right now, so thank you.
Okay, I will do that first. So socioeconomic goal, in socioeconomic goal we can say that in RA, I mean in unelectrified area we are supporting the people, that farmer, for agriculture, for I mean agriculture. So they uplift the socioeconomic also. So now we can say that another is economic development. So economic development, APC is working on that. So economic development, we can say that we are doing that like megawatt scale RE technology, or rooftop, or in for industries. So that is also we are APC is doing the economic development on, like through a commercialization. And another is we can their environmental goal. So environmental goal in RE in unelectrified area, or we can say that in a lot of agriculture processing unit, they are using that diesel, that is a fossil fuel, that can be replaced by RE clean technology. So we are doing like a solar irrigation system and solar mini grid to reduce that use of fossil fuel, and that can be done by RE technology, that is a clean technology. So that is our environment goal, to make that full use of clean energy. So this is the communication method that is employed by AEPC to share its energy plan with a stakeholder. So we have a provisional government, central government, and local government. So AEPC is actually that share that communicating with provisional government and local government for the what kind of demand, or what kind of energy demand, or what kind of energy scenario they are required. They are required in their local level. I mean that it's a provisional level, and on that, based on that, do the assessment and we move forward. And while when talking about that technical experience, we or other experience, that we have many development partners. So we do that bilateral meeting, or we do that stakeholder consultation with development partner also, for that to gain their previous, that past experience and technical experience on that. Likewise, we have a public community. So public community must they should aware for adoption of RE technology. So when we talk about that solar PV system, so actually they don't believe in that. So they only believe that national grid, that line, national grid only they give the solution to them. But so that they need that awareness and awareness program, so that they knew about the RE technology and they will adopt that RE technology. Likewise, we do consultation, or we with private sector also. So on that, we do that with private sector. We do the workshop, training, meeting for their capacity building. That is a technical enhancement. So if there is any technology that is new technologies, if there is coming, so we do the workshop, or we capacitize that private sector. And when we talk about a ministry and NEA, that is the Nepal Electricity Authority and our line ministry. So we, regarding each and every step, we coordinating with the line ministry and Nepal Electricity Authority. So another is a capacity building approaches. So in capacity building approaches, so we generally we started from provincial and local government level, so local level. So in that we can see that first we need to do the awareness campaign to the local community, so they adopt that RE technology, and they aware of RE technology, and we provide that local government to the I mean technical or capacity building, which is required for local government, because local government does not have manpower, like they know manpower or technical manpower for RE technology. So we will support them to enhance their capacity building. And so we do that workshop, seminar, or technical training session with local government. And likewise, we local community. If you talk about the local community, we do the awareness campaign and training on energy efficiency or renewable energy workshop. Similarly, we do the private sector. If you talk about the private sector, we do that workshop for development, capacity building, and same as internal staff. When we talk about that new technology, if technology operation required, or if any new technology comes regarding the RE, so we generally do that skill enhancement or take of our internal staff, so that we can make that local government or local community or private sector for their capacity building. Okay, so I think I have finished my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Amanul. Thank you for this very comprehensive presentation. Well, now I would like to introduce our second speaker of the day from Pakistan, Mr. Shahbaz Ahmad. He's manager of load forecast and generation planning at the National Transmission and Dispatch Company. Mr. Ahmad specializes in load forecasting and generation for expansion planning, and his academic background includes a degree of electrical engineering and a master's degree on public administration. Mr. Shahbaz began his career at Master Tiles Industry, and since 2003, he has been associated with the National Transmission and Dispatch Company. So please, Mr. Ahmad, the floor is yours.
Okay. Yes. Hello to everybody. Yes. Thank you to Arena and long-term energy scenarios. Actually, time is more. So I have been working in National Transmission and Dispatch Company of Pakistan since 2003. So 20 years experience is done. In Pakistan, actually, this is a national grid company, and it is responsible for the development of all type of long-term planning scenarios. Planning department is associated with NTDC, National Transmission and Dispatch Company. Our power sector, as you know, is mainly consist of three basic components: generation, transmission, and distribution. So in generation, there are actually major companies: WAPDA, which is known as Water and Power Development Authority. There is a large hydro potential in Pakistan on the northern areas. It is about 50 to 60,000 megawatt potential. Then PAEC is Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission. So they are responsible for the development of nuclear power plants. This time we have six power plants of nuclear energy. Then IPP is independent power producers. There are many independent power producers in hydro, in thermal, in renewable as well. NTDC is a transmission company which connects the generation to the load. We have a long network, and we have 500 kV transmission network, AC transmission network, then 220 kV AC transmission network. Then there is 600 kV HVDC line in Pakistan. And in future, we are studying to plan 765 kV AC transmission line. Then we have 10 distribution companies, and their voltage level is 132 kV to 11 kV. And there is another K Electric, Karachi Electric Company. This is actually one city of Pakistan, the largest city of Pakistan, which is linked with the import-export harbor. So there is an independent company, Karachi Electric Supply Company. There are different types of loads which are supplied by distribution companies: domestic, commercial, industrial, agriculture, public lighting, and bulk power consumers, which is domestic as well as industrial in both areas. Pakistan power sector governance framework deals with we have a independent National Electric Power Regulatory Authority, NEPRA, and it was built by the Parliament of Pakistan. It is quite independent. Then for the National Transmission and Dispatch Company, a grid code is formulated, which is approved by NEPRA, and all the regulations are mentioned in this. According to this grid code, the planning process is given to NTDC company. Then there is a distribution code. All 10 distribution companies and Karachi Electric Supply Company, they follow this distribution code as well. Licenses are issued to generation companies, GenCos, transmission companies, Transcos, system operator, distribution companies, DISCOs, and bulk power consumers, BPCs as well. So NEPRA issues all these licenses, and then they are able to do the power sector business. Then there are contracts and agreements. These are between different power sector entities, between NTDC and distribution companies, between the distribution companies and bulk power consumers. There are connection and interconnection agreements, use of system agreements, power purchase agreements, sale agreements, then wheeling agreements, etc. Then long-term energy scenario development framework in Pakistan, actually, according to grid code, NTDC is responsible to develop next 10 years ahead generation plan and transmission expansion plan. So energy policies, this is the mainly area of government of Pakistan. So strategic expansion policies are developed by government of Pakistan. Recently in 2020, alternative renewable energy policy has been approved by the Ministry of Pakistan. And our AEDB, Alternate Energy Development Board Department, they formulated this policy. It says that up to 2025, the 40% of the total installed capacity should be renewable, and up to 2030, the total installed capacity of renewable energy should be at least 60% of the total. Then long-term scenarios, adequacy of supply and firm energy supply and transmission system. This is the Department of Power System Planning, which is one department of NTDC, and I am working as manager in this area. Then operational plans, these are short-term plans, 1 day to 1 year plans. These are basically headed by National Power Control Center. This is actually system operator as an independent company. So they are responsible for the operation of the power plants. Now the responsibilities of SO system operator, it is demand forecast and generation plan is the responsibility under the we prepare two types of demand forecast here. One is top-down, which is actually based on the econometric model. It is linked with the development of the country, gross domestic product, GDP of the country. And this is basically used for the generation plan in IGCEP, Indicative Generation Capacity Expansion Plan. Then there is another type of load forecast, which is, we call it PMS-based area forecast, power market survey. So this is bottom-up approach, and the geographical areas, the geographical developments are included here. This is mainly used for the transmission system expansion plan development. So these two then SO plus National Grid Company, that is NTDC, they prepare this transmission system expansion plan and transmission investment plan. Planning timelines as per NTDC grid code. As I mentioned, the grid code is the binding document. So in this grid code, there is a chapter planning code. According to this, as I mentioned, 10-year IGSEP we have to prepare, and then National Grid Company has to prepare TSEP according to this class 4.3.3, and then transmission investment plan, and TNO will submit its transmission investment plan to the National Electric Power Regulatory Authority, which gives approval of all these generation plan, transmission plan, distribution plan, and investment plans. These are the stakeholders which are involved in this process. We have 5 provinces. So Sindh, Punjab, KP, these are the stakeholders. Then PPIB, Private Power Infrastructure Board, which facilitates the investments and investors in power sector. Then AEDB, Alternate Energy Development Board, they make the alternate energy policies and they help the investors in this renewable energy, alternative energy, which is mainly wind, solar, bagasse, and the CSPs, etc. here. Waste to energy projects. IPPs, Independent Power Producers, then distribution companies, Water and Power Development Authority, which is a government entity and is responsible for the major hydropower plants, then Ministry of Energy, then NECA, National Energy and Efficiency Conservation Authority. It is working on the demand management sides. Then Ministry of Planning, Development and Special Initiatives. So the process is internal discussion is held in the planning department. Then we collect the data for the collection of data and discussion of the data. Modeling and simulation, we use Plexo software for the generation expansion plan. Draft reports are prepared and submitted to NEPRA after the approval of our internal board of directors. Then NEPRA calls a public hearing on it, and then its determination on planning efforts is approved. So long-term energy scenarios from 1994, the first 4 plans were developed with the help of consultants in 1994, 2005, 2011, and 2016. Then by the capacity building and alhamdulillah, with the aid of good engineers in department, we started preparing internally and IGSEP integrated generation capacity expansion plans. So first internally it was made in 2019, then 2020, 21, 23, and grid code is also revised and it is approved by NEPRA on 22 March 2023. ISP integrated system plan, which consists of both IGSEP and TSEP, is in development stages. Now we are planning to optimize at the same time both of them. The latest plan, which is approved by our regulator NEPRA, it was approved in the start of this year on February 2023. We call it as IGSEP 2022 to 31. According to this plan, the reference scenario, 40% renewable energy share in power generation mix by 2025 is achieved, and 60% RE share by 2030, which includes hydro, wind, solar, bagasse. And we have, according to this plan, it is 70% in 2031. So then there are some different scenarios are also developed, high renewable energy scenario, nuclear scenario, and then low demand scenario, and then some energy security scenarios. As due to previous 3-4 years, we are facing a problem in the imported coal, imported RLNG, and imported RFO. The prices have risen too much. So now we are focusing on indigenous resources. We have abundant of hydro in the north side, abundant of wind potential in the south side, and a huge potential of solar in majorly in Balochistan and Sindh provinces. So we are focusing to indigenize our power sector, and we hope to get this in next 5 to 10 years. And more than 90% of the share would be from indigenous resources. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shahbaz, for your presentation. Now, I would like you to go straight to the discussion segment. We have around 20 minutes, 25 minutes for discussions. And I would like to also invite Mr. Amanul to turn on your camera so we can start. And yes, in honor of time, I will kindly ask you if we can, let's say, keep our answers in, let's say, in the frame interval of around 3 minutes per answer, so we can move forward with the Q&A. So I would like to start by maybe focusing on the development of energy scenario, and most specifically in terms of the coordination and governance. We saw from both of your presentations that you actually have a strong institutional framework for the energy sector. So, and also you highlighted who actually is coordinating the development of energy scenarios and so on. But so my first question that is addressed to both of you is if maybe you can give us some more insights on in terms of the coordination and support of this development of the scenarios. If there is any, let's say, on any other legal framework or any other institutional framework that actually drives or supports coordination between ministries, between the different level of government, or between different institutions. You mentioned, for example, in Pakistan, Mr. Shahbaz, that the main, let's say, legal instrument will be the grid code, right? So if in your case, if you can give us some other insight, if there is any other mechanism in place to facilitate or to enable this coordination among institutions to produce the energy scenarios. And kind of the same question to you, Mr. Amanul, if you can give us some, let's say, some insights of how is the legal framework or the institutional arrangements to facilitate this coordination between institutions. So maybe we can start with you, Mr. Shahbaz.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Shahbaz, please. Yes.
Let me start. Yes.
Yes.
Actually, coordination mean, as I mentioned in my slide, the stakeholders are the main institutions are PPIB, Private Power Institution Board, and Infrastructure Board, and then Alternative Energy Development Board. PPIB is responsible for the thermal and hydel private sector. AEDB attracts the investors for the renewable energy, wind and solar. There is WAPDA, Water and Power Development Authority. They are responsible for getting hydropower plants. So these all power plants, there are some other entities as well. There is PDO, there is AJK Development Board, and there are 4 provinces, their energy boards. So we collect data from all these entities, and we run the software to build up the lowest, least cost scenario. And then we develop some other scenarios, sensitivity cases, and we submit these cases to NEPRA. Then they call a hearing, public hearing. All the public and private partners, stakeholders, and the public is online. Like here now, question answer session is there. So they listen to all, and then a scenario, and they approve any one of the scenarios. So all these investors, their concerns, their power plants, their candidates, generation, transmission, all are discussed there, and then a final conclusion is made. So this platform NTDC, actually, we hold 3 to 4 meetings to collect that data and discuss the viability of data, and like this, we call all the stakeholders on one table before NEPRA.
Okay, now to you, Mr. Amanul.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So while when we talk about that energy scenario, there is energy scenario framework. So we for the coordination, so we don't have any a single solely a specific framework to for coordination of all these that is government entities or stakeholder, or we can say all the stakeholder, or that regulatory entities or ministry, or there is not a solely one framework. So uh, like a regulatory that is Nepal Regulatory Commissions, uh, Electricity Regulatory Commission. They have their own rights, and they will make the policy for that electricity tariff, and that electricity market for competitive electricity market. Likewise, that major role that Ministry of Energy, Water Resource and Irrigation, that MOEWRI, which plays the major role. It plays a major role for coordinating coordinating all the government entities, or different stakeholder, or we can say that we have an investment board Nepal, that is IBN also. So Nepal Electricity Authority or AEPC. So we have not solely that framework that uh, we can that follow that all we have to follow that same one framework in that one. So we have a different policies and regulatories, so that while implementing any project in Nepal, so we have to do the many we have to follow that the process and policies, or that guideline that is provided by different government entities.
Thank you very much for your answer. Maybe a follow-up question on the development process for energy scenario. You both mentioned the relevant role of the stakeholder consultation and also the participation, let's say, of private entities or the private sector in the overall process. So my question is, in terms of providing some inputs for the development of energy scenario, let's say in terms of, I don't know, maybe hypotheses, narratives, or specific constraints. I would like to know, or maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on what are actually the main outcomes that you get from this participation of the private entities in your respective countries. So maybe we can start with you, Mr. Amanul.
Okay, thank you. So while we formulating or making any policies, or formulating any energy development scenario, so as I am a renewable energy, I'm working in solar energy sector. So what I think that I will see the renewable energy perspective. So I can see only basically from renewable energy perspective. So for the consultation, we need all the stakeholders. That is private. We can say that that is a private sector, which is those who are working in working in power. Power generation, or that private sector who is working in transmission and distribution, or that local, we can say that we have a local government or provisional government. They are also that stakeholder. They might have some specific requirement, or specific energy scenario on that area. So for that we need to make a stakeholder consultation from their input, to get their input, to get their input to formulation of the any policies or implementation of any or execution of any uh, energy development scenario. So usually we do that uh, while formulating any policies or any any like implement we can say that any energy development scenario. So we do the consultation with all stakeholders like government entities or that as a private sector, NGO, INGO, so international development partner, so that we can incorporate all those their experience and their technology, their inputs to make our policy or energy scenario development goal.
Thank you. Now over to you, Mr. Shahbaz.
Yes, thank you. Policy development, energy scenario development, you can say in Pakistan, it is in the control of government of Pakistan. There are Ministry of Energy and Ministry of Planning, Development and Special Initiatives. And under them, there is a planning division who approves the public sector projects and then actually this power sector is handed over to the province, mostly the major and is given to the provinces. So all the 4 provinces, their energy boards, which are government entities and their ministries, they actually formulate all the policies and they guide us. NTDC has to follow all these policies and then technical parameters to develop the generation plan, transmission plan, as well as distribution plan, and then NEPRA has to approve it. So main approval is in the hands of ministries and provincial development boards, energy development boards, and they have to formulate the policies. Surely it is made with the consultation of the stakeholders as well.
Thank you, Mr. Shahbaz. Maybe a follow-up question for you. In terms of these consultation processes for energy scenarios, I'm curious, since you consult with different groups, stakeholders, as you already mentioned, what is the main goal for this participatory process or consultation? I mean, we have seen, for example, some experiences in which the governments are usually using the participatory processes to reach consensus or just to start discussions, sometimes to set up higher targets or maybe to validate some outputs from, let's say, the energy scenarios. So in Pakistan case, what is the main goal for implementing this state process, this stakeholder processes?
Yes, actually, first of all, demand forecast is formulated and then stakeholders hold a meeting to discuss whether it is on higher side or lower side, or what would be the government goals and plans for the future 5 to 10 years, whether these are included in this load forecast or not. Basically, it is, as I told, it is econometric load forecast. And after that, if load forecast, when it is agreed upon, then we develop a generation plan, which is main driver is least cost. The cost of the electricity should be the minimum in the future, meeting all the reliability and technical parameters requirements. So when we develop these scenarios, then a stakeholder discussion is held. There are different stakeholders, like some are hydro power producers, some are wind solar power producers. So they have their own benefits, and they discuss all the pros and cons of these parameters. For example, hydro, it takes a lot of time and a lot of money for the development. Wind and solar, their duration is less, but their supply is only daytime or nighttime. So all these discussions are held at ministry level, at NEPRA level, and the purpose is just to reach a conclusion which is implementable and technically and financially is viable.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Maybe one more questions about the development of energy scenario per se. And this time, I would like to focus on the content and scope of energy scenarios. So this question is addressed to you both. For instance, maybe you can explain us how in your respective countries or what is the overall scope of your current energy scenarios? I mean, is this the scope only for the power sector, or are you including the overall energy system, for example? And also, we would like to know if you can give us a broad picture. I mean, we don't need the specificities or any detail, but maybe an overall view of what elements of the clean energy transition are you considering or are you including in your scenarios? For example, in terms of technology, are you considering more renewables, I don't know, green hydrogen or what other technologies are you considering? In terms of socioeconomical impacts, are you considering the impacts of specific measures in your energy scenarios? Or in terms of mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions or any efficiency measure or electrification? So in this sense, we know that the clean energy transition involves different features that have to interact in a single ecosystem. In each country is different. So maybe some grasp on what are you actually considering in your scenarios and also the overall scope of your current energy scenarios. We can start with you, Mr. Shahbaz, and then with Mr. Amanul.
Yes. Actually, NTDC, as I mentioned, we are just developing electricity plan, not overall energy plan. We are developing power sector. But at ministry level, Ministry of Energy, they hold integrated energy plan, which includes all scenarios of all kinds of energy. In 2010, an integrated energy plan was developed, and luckily I was part of that. And it was developed but could not be implemented. Now, these days, again, Ministry of Energy, they are holding a team to develop integrated energy plan. Our power sector plan will be part of that energy plan. So all the sectors, transport and oil, gas, and electricity, all these are included in that integrated system plan. But we are also in power sector, we make different scenarios. For example, no coal scenario, we made one scenario. If 30% of the vehicles are electrical vehicles in 2030, this was a different scenario. And then energy security scenario, then a delay of hydro power plants. If these are not built, then what will happen? So wind and solar, then storage, battery storage is included. So we develop different scenarios, but only power sector, not for the all energy sector.
Okay, thank you very much. Now over to you, Mr. Amanul, the same question.
Thank you. While talking about the mixed energy development scenario, like we are, so actually in Nepal, we are, our power is generated from hydroelectric power, most of the power, almost more than 90%, we can say that. So in that we have our we are trying to do that mix of that is on other power, like we are trying to integrate that solar PV, and some of the power plant is also initiated and some is connected in the grid, that like solar PV power. And when we talk about that RE technology, so we are trying to implement, or we are trying to implement our RE technology in where most of the fossil fuel generated power, like in agriculture sector. We are not focusing on agriculture sector, where the power that is generated, that fossil fuel which are used for, like we can say that is a agro processing unit. Like if you talk about the unelectrified area, so in unelectrified area, so most of the that is agro processing or irrigation or that PU, productive in use. So they are using that like a fossil fuel energy. So we have a aim to replace that fossil fuel by RE, that is a clean energy. So in that regard, we are also that AEPC, we are doing that solar irrigation project, or solar mini grid system. So solar irrigation project, that is a we can say that that is a uplifting that low income generating people, uh, that uplifting their economic status by that, using that, and that is also economical. If you talking about that diesel in unelectrified places, that is very far from that urban area, so they have in diesel that transportation cost is huge, so it's not economical, but uh, they are doing that in traditional way. So likewise we are doing that solar mini grid project. So in solar mini grid project, we are also including that we are promoting that PU. We can say that the productive end use. So in a rural level, that productive end use can also uplift the economic, I mean, economic, the socio-economic of that rural people. In that we are doing like that. So now we are also doing assessment that while talking about that agriculture processing equipment, other equipment like, so uh, that equipment they uses that fossil fuel. So we want to replace that fossil fuel by RE technology. So we are also doing that assessment on that, how to replace and how to promote that RE technology in that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Amanul, for your response. Maybe just in order to going close in this session, this segment, I'm sorry. I would like to focus right now very briefly on the enhancement of institutional skills for developing and using energy scenarios. You both mentioned that I mean, in your countries, in your both countries, are actually implementing some, let's say, capacity building, some training, and you are actually implementing some activities towards enhancing your capacities on energy scenarios. I even saw in Pakistan presentation, for instance, that one of the goals is that NTDC can reduce the reliance on international consultants. So I would believe that you already have a good set of skills created in the government in terms of developing energy scenarios. So my question here is basically in, let's say, considering the journey of your respective countries in creating or enhancing these skills, what will be the key lessons that you have learned in this journey in terms of creating capacities that you can share with the audience and with other governmental energy planners that maybe are starting to creating these institutional skills? So what will be the main takeaway or the main lesson that you have learned in creating or enhancing your institutional skills for energy scenarios? We will start with you, Mr. Amanul.
So while we're talking about that, I mean, energy scenario, that is kept, we are in regards with that capacity building, or that is a past experience. So the main thing is that we must make a awareness of that, what that new technology has arrived, or what RE technology has arrived to the for the adoption of for the adoption for users. So that is the main we are missing on that. So many of the that is end users, those who are using that energy, so they are aware of that new technology. So that is awareness program must be must be down to the that user or like a end user. And apart from that, we can also say that there is our local government technical manpower. So while talking about the technical manpower, so they also uh, need some really capacity building on that. They are also not aware of that new technology or that RE technology that need to use as that need to use on that specified area where they can get that RE. There is a lot of there might be RE resources. We can say that solar, somewhere solar, somewhere biogas, somewhere biomass, or we can say that somewhere in wind energy. So while talking about the capacity building, so we need to make that capacitize to those local government people and local government technical people, technical manpower, and do awareness program to the local, end user, so that uh, they will they believe and they will adopt that RE technology, and we can uh, promote that RE technology to that area.
Okay, thank you for sharing your thoughts, Mr. Amanul. Now, Mr. Shahbaz, over to you.
Yes. In this regard, I would like to say that actually up to 2019, we were using International Atomic Energy Software, WASP for generation planning, and we are using PSSE for transmission system expansion planning. Actually, these tools, WASP, it does not have the ability to model wind and solar power plants. So nowadays, there is a huge development in renewable energy, wind and solar power plants. So that's why we had to shift from WASP to Plexo software. This is 2-3 plans we have developed, but still we are not much expert on using how to model Plexo power system on Plexo software. And we need help in this, and especially two experts which had gained expertise. Now they have moved outside the country. So again, there is a deficiency this time. Then when we model renewable energy, wind and solar in this tool, Plexo's tool, there is some deficiency how to model these. Actually, when we run long-term scenarios, it misses the operational parameters of the power plants, runtime and ramping up, ramping down. These kind of issues are there. We develop long-term scenarios, but operationally these are not tested. So maybe when after 7-8 years, there is a huge quantum of solar at around 10,000 megawatt and a huge quantum of wind around 10,000 megawatt. Then how it will work the power sector? We cannot frequently on and off the conventional power plants. So this is a problem. Then there is a problem in day ahead forecasting of the renewable energy. What would be the wind flow next day or the next week, and what would be the solar potential in the next day and coming days? Weather forecasting, this is also lagging. And then the recent issue, our regulator NEPRA, they have directed us to co-optimize the generation and transmission system expansion plan. Actually, we are preparing in 2 steps, generation plan separately, and then on the basis of this generation plan, we develop transmission system expansion plan. And then based on the outputs of transmission plan, we then rerun the generation plan, and that is the final one. But NEPRA says no, co-optimize the generation and transmission system expansion plan. For these, we have consulted Danish Energy Agency. Their software is Balmoral, and some other consultants from England. We are consulting with them, But these are the issues which I mentioned. Still, we are lagging in this capacity building area. And then interconnection studies. We have only one interconnection is under process. That is Central Asia, South Asian regions through Afghanistan. But that is also how to model it and what would be the scenario, whether we shall import only or export both or not. So these are the areas where we need help from the others.
Well, thank you very much. And now we are reaching the final part of this session. And maybe I would like to address maybe one question from the audience that actually I believe you already answered part of it, Mr. Shahbaz. So the question read, what are the main challenges you are facing right now? I mean, considering your current status of the development of energy scenario planning, what are the main challenges you are facing now toward the future to enhance the use of scenarios, the development of scenarios towards your planning your energy system for more resilient and clean systems, energy system?
Yes, recently, actually from this year, we can say power market is introduced in Pakistan. So this is an issue how to develop forecast and generation plan when there are independent bilateral agreements between the power plants and the load centers, BPCs. So this is a new challenge for us. And the other I have told that co-optimization of generation and transmission plan, this is also a challenge for us. This year we have said that it is not possible for us. We shall try from the next year, and we are in consultation with some other countries how it can be made possible. And we are only developing power sector plans. So if we talk about integrated energy plans, that is Ministry of Energy. They are working on it, and there are also some issues how to unite all these plans.
So just I want to add one thing.
Yes, Mr. Amanul.
While talking about the difficulties we are facing, that is due to climate change, we have facing a lot of natural disaster, and that is unpredictable. So we can say that we natural disaster like a flood, landslide, drought. So it's while it's a rainy season, it's happening. So it's happening, and that is we can't predict. So it's very challenging us for to run those or to make the energy development scenario like this. So we have in many regions there is a landslide and many micro hydro or many hydro plants have been damaged. So that is our main challenge for that while planning the energy development scenario. So that is unpredictable. So how can we solve this one?
Okay. Well, no, thank you also for sharing. And no, thank you, Mr. Amanul and Mr. Shahbaz, for your interventions today. So now I would like to ask one of my colleagues if he can project the last slide, please, of the presentation. And yes, to close in this session, I would like to first of all thank you all the attendees to connect and participate in this session of the webinar series on LTES, and also special thanks to Mr. Shahbaz and Mr. Amanul for presenting their own country cases experiences. And well, I don't see the last presentation. Yes, just one more thing before we close. For the next session that's happening next week, we're going to have the presentations from Bhutan. So please be pending of our social media. We will be sharing more information in the upcoming days. And well, thank you again for your participation in this session, and we wish you a very rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The world of energy is changing. The energy system of the future will be based on sustainable, renewable energy. Innovation and digitalization are changing the way we consume energy. How can decision makers in governments and businesses prepare for the energy transition? Long-term energy scenarios, LTES, can help plan for a low-carbon future by identifying opportunities, potential risks, and cost-effective near-term solutions. IRENA actively supports energy planners through its global LTES network. Governments can share their experience, exchange best practices, and explore the most pressing future trends together with global experts. Government institutions and supporting technical agencies can become members of the LTES network. Join us. Contact LTES at irena.org for more information.